Have you ever walked through life with a clenched fist? There's nothing inside your palm, yet you hold it so tightly that your nails dig into your skin. It hurts, doesn't it? That, right there, is what it means to force life. Trying to control, to make things happen your way, to insist that it must be as you wish, is like holding an empty hand and hurting yourself with your own grip. Think for a moment. Those sleepless nights spent chasing that job. The times you changed yourself just to win someone's love. The paths you took just to please your family. All of it was forcing. It's like pushing a locked door with your shoulder, believing effort alone can make it open. You push and push until you're out of breath, and when it doesn't open, you think you failed. But maybe the problem was never your strength. Maybe the door didn't open inward, but outward. Maybe all you had to do was gently pull it. Or maybe that door was never meant for you at all. That's what control does to the heart. It blinds it. You start believing every door must open if you push hard enough. But this is one of the greatest illusions of modern life. You're in control, they say. You're behind the wheel of your own life. It sounds empowering, but it's a heavy burden to carry. Because once you take that wheel, you can never let go. You must always stay alert, always steer, and when life swerves even slightly, you blame yourself. That's why you're anxious. That's why you're tired. The great sage Ibn Arabi looked at the universe and saw perfect surrender. The planets don't try to escape their orbits. An apple tree doesn't strive to grow pears. A river doesn't resist its course to climb a mountain. Everything moves as it was meant to, in divine harmony, within its true nature. And you too are part of that same divine order. But you keep fighting your own nature, your own flow. That is what forcing means, to dance alone against the rhythm of creation. And that dance always ends in exhaustion. Why do you keep forcing? Why do you push so hard, clenching your fists until they hurt? The answer is simple yet deep. You're afraid. Afraid of what's ahead. Afraid of the unseen. Afraid of walking a path you can't predict. Your desire to control everything is nothing but fear trying to sound strong. You can't see the whole plan, so you build small ones of your own to feel safe. But this is like stumbling through a dark room, hands flailing, knocking over everything around you, hurting yourself in the chaos, believing the darkness is your enemy. When in truth, sometimes all you have to do is stop and let your eyes adjust to the dark. Think about it. You fear failure, so you try to control every little detail. You fear being alone, so you exhaust yourself trying to please others. You fear feeling worthless, so you feel you must always achieve something. You fear having no money, so you drain your spirit with jobs you hate. All these steps are taken in the shadow of fear, and fear is the worst guide. According to Ibn Arabi, the real source of this fear is seeing yourself as separated from that divine current. The moment you imagine yourself as a single drop apart from the ocean, you begin to fear evaporating away, but you are that ocean itself. The great Sheikh says, what you fear is not separate from you. It is only the shadow of your distance from the truth. Isn't that profound? So you're not afraid of losing your job as much as you're afraid of the helplessness and loss of control you would feel if you did. You're not terrified of abandonment itself, but of the hollow worthlessness that you imagine will follow. Your fear is not of events. It is of their echo inside you. That is why you desperately try to quiet the fear by controlling the outside world, by managing people and situations. But that is impossible. You cannot heal the inside by commanding the outside. When life closes a door, it is not trying to harm you. It is simply telling you that the door was not yours. When a relationship ends, life is not punishing you. It is announcing that that chapter is over and a new one must begin. What do we do instead of reading these signs? We try to force the door open. We add new lines to the final page of a finished story. Surrender, letting go of control and waiting for your eyes to adjust in the dark, requires patience and above all, trust. When I say surrender and trust, what comes to your mind? Probably an image of stepping aside, doing nothing, giving up the struggle and passively accepting fate's blows. If that's what you imagine, you've completely misunderstood the idea, and that misunderstanding may have harmed you most of all. True surrender is not passivity. True reliance is not laziness. To drop the oars does not mean abandoning the boat to drown. On the contrary, letting go of the oars means starting the engine. Let me explain with a gardener's example. Once you understand this, everything about your life can begin to change. Imagine a gardener who wants the most beautiful roses. Does he plant the seed and then say, "I'll trust Allah's plan," and walk away? No, he prepares the soil. He removes the stones, aerates the earth, fertilizes. He shows the work required. This is your intention. This is your effort. That's when your preparation becomes your trust. It's when you study for that interview with full effort, when you give your best to that project, when you speak sincerely to save a relationship. That's tying your camel firmly. Then the gardener plants the seed into the soil he has prepared. That's your action. And when he gives it water, that's where surrender begins. After watering, the gardener doesn't dig up the soil every day saying, "Grow. Why aren't you growing? I command you to grow." He doesn't pull the sprout out of the ground to make it taller, because he knows if he forces it, the seed will die. And that's exactly what we do. We give effort, we take action, we water the seed, but then we don't trust the process. We don't trust the wisdom of the soil, the mercy of the rain, the law set by Allah. We want to decide when and how the result will appear. But what does the gardener do? He steps back and trusts. He trusts the soil, the sun, the rain. He trusts the hidden life within the seed, because he knows the one who makes it bloom is not him. He's only the vessel that prepared the conditions. That is true surrender. To do your part with excellence, then leave the outcome with grace, patience, and faith to Allah. Ibn Arabi summarized it beautifully. Your task is to ask and prepare. To give and make happen, that belongs to Allah. You walk the fine line between destiny and will. Your will is to prepare the soil, plant the seed, and water it. When the seed will break open, what color the flower will be, when the fruit will ripen, that belongs to the divine plan. After doing your part, to still worry about the outcome, to keep your fist clenched, is to show distrust toward that divine harmony. It's like saying, "I know better than the universe." You may say, "I understand. I'll do my part and leave the rest to Allah." It sounds simple, but why is it so hard? Have you ever been alone in a country where you didn't know the language? People speak to you, trying to explain something, but all you hear are meaningless sounds. You feel lost, confused, and alone. That's exactly how you've been living with life. Life, the universe, the divine plan, call it what you will, is always speaking to you. It whispers. It sends signs. It tries to guide your path. But because you don't understand its language, you don't hear the whispers or see the signs. You think the language of life is made only of hardships, pain, and obstacles. When a job interview goes badly, you say, "Life is against me. I'm a failure." When a relationship ends, you think, "Why does this always happen to me? I must be unworthy of love." Even while waiting at a red light, you sigh and believe the whole universe has conspired to delay you. But what if I told you that failed interview was a sign, saving you from a path where you would never be at peace? What if that breakup was a divine intervention, meant to remind you of your worth and lead you to someone whose soul truly matches yours? What if that red light delayed you just long enough to save you from an accident moments away? There is no such thing as coincidence in this universe. Everything happens for a reason, with flawless precision and infinite mercy. Ibn Arabi said, "Everything that happens is the best of all possible outcomes." If another way had been better, it surely would have been so. Engrave this in your heart. Everything that happens, even what looks like loss or pain, is the most perfect version of events for your highest good. You just can't see the full picture yet. Learning the language of life means gaining that vision, what we might call the gaze of Khidr. In the Quran, remember when Prophet Musa journeyed with the wise servant of Allah, Khidr? Khidr scuttled a ship, took the life of a child, and repaired a wall. From the outside, these acts seemed cruel, even senseless. But behind each of them was a hidden mercy, a divine wisdom that Musa couldn't yet perceive. The ship he damaged was saved from being seized by a tyrant king. The child he took would have grown to bring grief and tyranny to his righteous parents, and beneath that wall lay a treasure belonging to orphaned unborn children. This is how your life works too. You see the ship being damaged and cry out in protest, not knowing it's being saved from pirates ahead. You see your wall collapse and weep, unaware of the treasure buried beneath it. Learning life's language means stopping the habit of labeling everything as good or bad. It means simply accepting what is. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you begin to ask, "What is this trying to teach me? Where is it trying to guide me?" When a door closes, instead of pounding on it, you step back and look around. And often, right beside it, you'll notice another door, one you never saw before, standing slightly open, waiting for you. That is the practice of surrender, to accept what happens with love, to release resistance, to seek understanding instead of control. It doesn't happen overnight. It's like strengthening a muscle. You must practice it in small moments. When you're late to a meeting, stuck in traffic, or when your order arrives wrong. Each time, instead of reacting with frustration, you take a deep breath and whisper, "There is goodness even in this." And slowly, that muscle of trust begins to grow stronger. And when at last you unclench that fist, when you set down the heavy backpack that's been weighing on your shoulders for years, what do you find? Emptiness? Number. You find what has been waiting there all along, the priceless gift called peace. But this isn't the kind of peace you already know. It's not the fleeting calm you feel while watching the sea from a quiet resort. It's the unshakable stillness you sense in your heart, even in the middle of a storm. It's an inner silence. Imagine, what would happen if that endless noise in your mind fell silent for just a moment? That voice that constantly plans, worries, imagines the worst. What if it stopped, even for an instant? That is the gift of surrender, because that voice is the voice of control. When you let go of control, that voice has nothing left to say. What have you been carrying in that backpack all this time? The stones of past regrets, the sand of future anxieties, all those heavy, "It should have been like this," and "What if it doesn't work out?" thoughts. To surrender is to slip that backpack off your shoulders and set it down. And in that moment you realize below, for the first time in years, you can finally stand tall. You understand that the weight on your back was never life itself, but the burden of an illusion. The illusion that you were ever in control. Life is like a stormy sea. While trying to control it, you've been like a desperate swimmer fighting the waves, gasping for air, exhausted. Surrender is when you roll onto your back and trust the water to hold you. The waves will still move. Yes, sometimes you'll rise, sometimes you'll fall, but you won't drown anymore. Because you finally understand, the water was never your enemy. It's simply its nature to move, and there is a force within it that will always keep you afloat. That is what it means to trust Allah's plan, to let yourself be carried by the mercy that sustains all things. And in that surrender, you discover the greatest secret. As Ibn Arabi said so beautifully, the will of Allah for you is more beautiful than your own will for yourself. The job you wanted so desperately might have brought you misery. Allah prepared another path, one that would nourish your soul instead. That relationship you begged to save might have drained your spirit. Allah gifted you solitude to find yourself, or sent you a soul that would honor your true worth. Your small mind can only see the next step, the next wave. But He sees the entire ocean, its beginning and its end. Your plan is a single piece of a vast puzzle. His plan is the complete and perfect picture. Which one do you think is more beautiful? Today we spoke of that weary rower in the wrong direction, of the clenched fist, of the locked door you keep pushing. All of them were you, and you saw how fear turned you into a creature of control. Now you know that surrender isn't laziness, it's the wisest action of all. You've realized that life is always speaking to you, sending signs to guide you. Now the choice is yours. You can keep gripping the oars, fighting the current, until your arms weaken and your spirit fades. Or, just for today, you can slowly let the oars slip into the water, take a deep breath, and watch as your boat glides gently in the direction it was always meant to go. You can stop forcing. You can stop controlling. You can simply be. Are you ready to let go of the oars? Because there's something you've forgotten. You don't need a boat. You already know how to swim. If you're ready to begin this journey today, I want you to do one thing. Go to the comments, not just for yourself, but to inspire others, and write these words: I'm letting go of the oars. Let that be your promise, to yourself and to the universe, a declaration that you are choosing peace over control. And as thousands of souls write the same words, all surrendering together to life's divine flow, remember this one eternal truth. You don't need a boat. You already know how to swim.